Hi, everyone, and welcome to my discussion on a paper in progress, a literature review on the use of planned movement in kindergarten literacy. My name is Sherry McKenzie, and I've been teaching kindergarten for 30 years. Over that time, I've heard a lot of compliments on my classroom. You have such a nice classroom. You have such a colorful classroom. You have such a warm and inviting classroom. You have such an active classroom. And that didn't always sound like a compliment. At times, remarks like that made me doubt myself and my teaching style. I enjoy an active classroom. I firmly believe that 5-year-olds need to move, that kindergarten students need to bend and jump and soar. I believe that students who are active are engaged, and engaged students are happier and have less behavior issues. But I found myself wondering if the students in my class were stronger academically because of the movement I had included in the lessons. I did not expect them to sit still while learning. I expected my students to move and included movement both in the class and within the lessons. I decided to research the use of movement in classrooms to see what the background was. Let me bring up my presentation. So what did I find? Research has shown that movement not only enhances physical development, but mental development. As noted by Ga in 2017 and Barra and Bonnet in 2018, there was a strong relationship between academic achievement and physical activity. Students who encounter new information while involved in movement show significant increase in their performance and test scores, as well as the benefit of improved behaviors. Skoning states, the benefits of using creative movement as teaching tools in the classroom include increased student understanding of the content and improved classroom behavior. With the increased demand on students, teachers, and the educational system, could movement be the piece needed to increase literacy without spending money or demanding more from teachers? Instead, focus would be on the students themselves and using their natural learning ability to further their literacy. Research has shown a link between early childhood development and children's physical activity. Research has also stated that children have a higher retention rate for new learning when the learning process involves movement. The research suggests that one strategy for teaching beginning literacy skills to kindergarten students is to include planned movement as a part of their literacy lessons. The purpose of this literature review is to examine the role of planned physical movement in kindergarten literacy through the lens of emergent literacy and embodied learning. The literature review looks at the studies on the effect that movement has on academics and concludes by discussing the findings and implications for educators and researchers. The emergent literacy theory states that there are varying literacy behavior levels which children acquire early in life. These early literacy behaviors facilitate reading and writing at the conventional level. Emergent literacy skills are intertwined and developed simultaneously while acknowledging that children acquire literacy through their everyday lives. Social, cultural, and environmental factors greatly influence students' development of emergent literacy skills. Children develop early literacy skills through interaction with their parents and caregivers, such as reading, singing, nursery rhymes, and developing language through conversations in their home and community. Research studies emphasize the predictive value of emergent literacy skills for young children's subsequent conventional literacy skills. The emergent literacy theory applies to this research by providing a foundation for understanding children's literacy behaviors and how they develop. The relationship among bodily movements, cognitive abilities, and academic achievement in children is receiving considerable attention in the research community. The embodied learning approach is based on the idea of an inseparable link between mind and body in learning, thus aiming for teaching methods that promote children's active engagement in the classroom. The research review consisted of an environmental scan of articles on emergent literacy, embodied learning, and the effect of movement on learning. The focus was on synthesizing research on how movement affects student cognitive ability and academic performance. The scan focused on peer-reviewed journal articles, looking at data systematically. Many methods for teaching literacy require students to sit quietly. Research on the impact of physical movement in young children's development has recommended that young children have at least 15 minutes of physical activity each hour. Studies such as that of Beats in 2011 suggest that due to increased demands on both the teacher and instructional time, this need for movement is not being met. While instructional activities that include movement are not enough to replace structured and unstructured playtime for students, they offer the opportunity to add movement that links to the curriculum. Researchers have shown a connection between kindergarten readiness skills, early academic and cognitive performance, and the use of physical activities. While there's not enough time to cover all of the studies, the following studies sought to show the relationship between the impact of regular physical activities and students' cognitive abilities. Each study showed that physical activity positively affected cognitive abilities and academic results. The studies also showed that students who engaged in planned movement during class time had a higher retention rate for new information, while at the same time showing higher rates of engagement and lower behavior issues. There are limitations to these studies in that the teachers were self-reporting on the behavior issues, and it may be that behavior issues were simply children who are off task rather than having actual behavior issues. In a study in 2002, Oja and Jermel sought to find out how physical activity and motor ability affect preschool students' readiness for kindergarten. Their findings indicated that children who performed well in physical movement that required focus also showed strength in school readiness skills. Results showed that students with higher levels of physical activity tend to present it with stronger fine motor skills. A research in 2008 by Peake examined the relationship between early fine and gross motor development and its effect, if any, on the motor and cognitive abilities of students upon entry to school and beyond. Results showed that students' cognitive development did show a correlation with preschool children's gross motor development, in that preschoolers with strong gross motor control showed higher gains in working memory and processing speed. In 2014, Becker performed a quantitative study examining the correlation between self-regulation, active play, and academic achievement. The results indicated that providing opportunities for more active play allows students to increase their self-regulation, thus positively affecting academic achievement. Results showed that students with higher self-regulation rates outperformed students with lower self-regulation rates in emergent literacy and math skills. In 2011, Fedwan performed a comprehensive quantitative synthesis of the literature, investigating the effect of physical activity on students' cognitive functioning. Their results showed a positive correlation between physical activity and the children's cognitive achievement in literacy and mathematics. They also showed that students who were more physically fit tended to have higher cognitive functions and academic achievement. So the researchers are proposing a connection between movement, memory, cognitive abilities, and academics. But I was also seeing other connections. Studies show that long periods of sedentary learning can lead to restlessness, students tuning out, and behavior issues. A 2017 study by Go regarding children's physical activity and on-task behavior stated that long periods of inactivity could lead to off-task behaviors for students and possible adverse physical effects. Results showed that as students' physical activity increased, there was a positive correlation of increased focus, an improvement in behavior issues, and general overall, a more relaxed atmosphere in the classroom. A quantitative study from Stylino in 2016 showed that teachers perceived a positive correlation between physical-based activity in the classroom and students' focus and on-task behavior. But again, the study's findings are limited due to the results being dependent upon the teacher's self-reporting, including their perceptions of the activity program and the student's outcome related to physical activity. Research has shown that physical activity can be used to improve students' behaviors. A quantitative study by Grocko reported that students involved in a low to moderate physical activity academic lesson had a higher rate of time on task than students who had experienced a sedentary lesson. The research also showed that moderate to vigorous physical activity led to an increase in time on task, while time on task decreased after sedentary academic gain. Also, Webster in 2015 showed a positive correlation between activity breaks and improved behavior and time on task. And in 2016, Bremer, Crozier, and Lloyd performed a systematic review of 13 studies pertaining to behavioral outcomes following an intervention that consisted of exercise. The results indicated that exercise interventions offered positive results to numerous behavioral issues. The use of movement in exploring new learning concepts increases student engagement critical to their understanding. The researchers Kazoo in 2009 and Dunn in 1993 noted that students needed movement to learn and that passive students do not learn as quickly as actively engaged students. Faber in 2009 noted that many teachers did not provide movement-based learning opportunities, even though it has been shown that adding movement has a substantial impact on students' levels of engagement. In 2010, Sconing performed a small study using dance as an instructional tool in a classroom, which showed that student learning exceeded that of their peers who were not part of the study group. In a 2008 study, Block, Paris, and Whiteley looked at increasing instructional effectiveness by using movement. Results showed positive correlation between the use of movement and the increase in engagement. Also, in 2018, Kreider piloted a program where students used movement in their literacy lessons. Interviews with teachers indicated increased student engagement and focus, retention of knowledge, and increased reading interest. Teachers referenced measuring engagement through students calling out answers and their increased focus. The study stated that students who used movement in their literacy lessons learned faster and retained more information than the students who did not use movement as part of their education. The research is showing that there is a correlation between movement and the development of physical and cognitive abilities, as noted by Go in 2014 and Bear and Bonnet in 2018. Research has shown a strong relationship between physical activity and academic achievement, Becker in 2014, and significant increases in student performances and test scores are shown when students encounter new information while using movement, Chauvel in 2017. There's also a marked improvement in behavior issues and student engagement when movement is used in the kindergarten classroom. At the same time, Go states that long periods of inactivity can lead to off-task behaviors and adverse physical effects. There are many benefits to using planned movement as a teaching tool in the classroom, such as increased student understanding of the content, improved classroom behavior, and engagement. Research has shown a strong positive correlation between academic performance, behavior issues, engagement, and the use of movement throughout the school day. Research has confirmed that young children need to experience concepts physically to gain understanding, and research has shown that children learn best through active lived experience instead of sedentary activities. Researchers propose a connection between movement and memory, stating that students who move are stronger at retaining information. The use of movement would allow students to use their natural learning abilities to further their literacy. The literature review does show a gap in the area of planned movement and emergent literacy for kindergarten age students. Understanding the influence of movement when teaching literacy components such as comprehension, phonics, and fluency, where students sometimes struggle, would enable teachers to provide a focused literacy program in kindergarten that meets the students' developmentally appropriate needs. Research has shown a link between cognitive abilities, academics, behavior, engagement, and children's physical activity. Children have a higher retention rate for new information when the learning process involves movement. The research suggests that one strategy for teaching beginning literacy to kindergarten students is to include planned movement as part of the literacy lesson. The information presented here provides some insight into current research on movement in literacy education. Movement in literacy education has been shown to have a significant impact, allowing for improvement at all ages. Recommendation for the study is to study the use of planned movement within kindergarten literacy to see the benefits that it provides. I'll just flick through the references here for you. Everyone, thank you so much for listening in. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy the conference. Thank you.